Hey there guys, it's Cardboard Tamer. This is going to be my first video, and the first thing I wanted to cover is actually one of my favorite decks to play, which is going to be my main guy, Jupitermon. Jupitermon, I think, is a fantastic deck. I have topped store locals with it, I have made it into top 3 of online events, and I maintain a pretty consistent win record covering my online games as well through DCGO, which I'll show you guys in another video how I track that and what that looks like. But I just kind of want to show you guys my favorite deck. It is definitely, in my opinion, a high skill ceiling deck. It is very easy to get yourself caught with your security and everything exposed. So I think it's a deck that requires a very good pilot, and you need to learn it very well. Now, I'm just going to start here with my Digi-Eggs, which I personally run 4 copies of the BT24 Sunomon. And I know there's some debate back and forth with people. Some run the Nyaromon, the one with the when attacking, trash the security, the gain of memory. And I think that's actually a great card, and I would run it over this one if some of my rookies I use later on were yellow. I can't find a viable solution to the rookies I would be swapping out, so that's why I stick with Sunomon. Not to mention, I like his trigger because it's just when security is removed from, not necessarily when attacking, so I can use it sometimes in different instances. That said, the Nyaromon is not a bad card at all. So that is my eggs. And then next for the rookies, so you guys can get an idea of what I'm talking about here. Maybe. Okay. I start with 4 copies of the BT24 Elecmon. I think he is quintessential to the deck. Move him a little more into camera there. He's a searcher. He grabs a Iliad and a Time Stranger trait. The biggest thing with him is not actually the search, though. It's his inherited effect. When attacking, place top security card in hand. If at 0 recovery 1, he himself can trigger Sunomon or reduce the cost to go in the Jupitermon, as I'll explain later. Then I run 2 copies of the new Elecmon, the BT25 variant. I would run more of him, but I want more search and some of the other abilities of my other rookies. He is not a bad card by any means, though. And if you want to run more of him, I think it's worth it, especially if you're going more primarily yellow. His on play is not on play, start of main phase, add top security card to hand to gain 1 memory, and he shares an inherited with his BT24 counterpart. Then I run 2 of the BT25 Lunamon. And the reason I go with her over more Elecmon is she's another search, same as the BT25 Elecmon, and sometimes jamming is actually nice. I can't guarantee that I can keep my guys alive. I don't always want to be using my barrier, while Agiamon will always give barrier to all of my level 5s. Or he himself has barrier. I don't always want to use it because I want to save my security for something else, which I'll show you more of later. Then I run a promo rookie. I do 4 of the promo Devimon. The reason I go for him over the other ones, he has the draw 1, trash 1 inherited effect, which is actually what I prefer. Sometimes I have cards in hand I don't want or need, so I need to get rid of them and get another card in hand to potentially seal off the game or help me survive another turn. So I think he's the better card for that. Padamon's inherited effect is the minus 2000 DP when attacking, which is great, but he sets up the Asuna Shiroki Tamer and can help me get pieces I might be missing potentially. So I think he's just a great card overall that I love to have around. Then for my level 4s, let's see here, I of course run 4 copies of the BT24 Agiamon. He is a staple card for the deck. You absolutely need maximum of him. Lets you play your Tamers for free on play, when digivolving, when moving. It can be very essential to your win con. He's essentially your engine. Fantastic card. And I think the important thing with him, too, is with the Tamer and Nori, him being an on-play, sometimes what you can do is throw him out, activate his ability, remove a security card, trigger a Nori, go straight into an Agio Kuzman, like the promo Agio Kuzman, and swing for game with Rush if you have 3 or less security. Fantastic card. And then I run 4 of the new BT25 Agiomon. Very similar vein, except instead of when moving, he's just non-play when digivolving. Add top security card to hand, which triggers a minus 5,000 DP on an opponent's Digimon, which is fantastic. Getting rid of low guys, or sometimes they have much bigger guys in the field, and you need to stack the DP minus while you're building up. And then, I actually still run 2 copies of the promo Agiomon. He's not as good as the other 2, but sometimes decoding into a blocker, or just having that 4,000 DP blocker to put out there is awesome. I think he's a good card to keep around for now, and I don't think he should just be abandoned outright. Then level 5s, I run 3 copies of the BT24 Agio Kuzman. I have my alternate art right there on top. Love it. BT24 Agio Kuzman is still very important to the game. Say you go into the BT25 Agiomon, that's minus 5,000 DP. You go into this guy, that's another minus 5,000, so minus 10k in total. And if you have 3 or less security, he can delete a 7k or lower, which is amazing. If you play it right, you can take care of 3 different Digimon at once there. And then on top of that, I play still 2 of the promo Agio Kuzman, which is an awesome card for the deck. I have multiple playsets of him. I see him every time I go to locals, just because they're trying to get rid of their inventory of him. But if you have 3 or less security, gains rush and can attack. He can win you the game just by having him in hand. Very important. I usually reserve him for when I'm ready to do that, and I will play the other Agio Kuzmans while I'm waiting to use him. But very good card. These both have the decode inheritable, which I think is awesome. I'm a little upset the others don't, but they have their own abilities, which are good. I play 2 of the BT25 Agio Kuzman Blue. I think he is super important for winning with this deck. You digivolve into him, he'll unsuspend someone who's already digivolved. So let's say you go into Agiomon, check with Agiomon, so you do an attack, you barrier, flip a Nori to activate her effect, go into Agio Kuzman Blue for free, unsuspend, swing 1 more of Agio Kuzman Blue, maybe you have to trigger your barrier or Electmons when attacking or whatever, go into Jupitermon for reduced cost, unsuspend again and attack. And that's just a very simple method of doing it. But on top of that, I actually do play 1 of the green as well. Just a 1 of. His stun ability is amazing. And when your security is removed from, being able to suspend an opponent's Digimon saves you the game sometimes. So he's just a 1 of. And honestly, I've fought back and forth about the 2 of them, about just having 1 of them or having more of the other, etc., etc. But I think this is the ratio I've settled on, and I have a lot of success with this ratio. Then for the level 6s, I, of course, can't be a Jupitermon deck without Jupitermon. Run 3 copies of Jupitermon. He is the main guy of the deck. I love his ability. He has a cost reduction Digivolution method for you can Digivolve off an Agio Kuzman per the amount of security you have, which I think is just amazing. He can recover you if you're at 1 or fewer security, which is great just to be able to manipulate and mess with your security. And all turns can trash your security to save 1 of your TS trait cards. And all turns, when a security is removed from your stack, remove an opponent's security, which can be very important for winning the game. On top of that, I run a few other of the Olympus 12. My second favorite here is Minervamon. Fantastic defensive card. I use her so much. Pretty all dark there on top for her. Um, so basically, Digivolving with her, ignore the lizard, sorry about that. Digivolving with her is super important to everything. And then on top of that, being able to play out a 5-cost or lower means you can play out Homeros, or you can play out any of your level 4s or 3s. Meaning sometimes you could throw her out, throw out Agiomon, go into Agio Kuzmon promo, swing for a check, and then reboot blocker at your opponent's turn. But that's just examples. I think she's a great defensive card, giving all of your Iliad trait reboot and blocker, being able to play out a 5-cost or lower, and to de-digivolve on her own deletion as well. Then I play one of Venusmon. I'm actually tempted to run more of her, just because she has been so helpful lately. Stripping all Digivolution sources and stunning 2 of your opponent's guys or tamers is amazing. Not to mention her ability, the all turns, if one of your cards would leave the field other than by your effects, send a card of Digivolution source to the security stack of its owner to stop it is amazing. And there's a lot of ways you can kind of mess with that and make it work in your favor. But on top of that, I actually run one of the Jupitermon now from BT25 as well. Jupitermon is imperative to certain strategies with the deck and has a few OTKs that she can allow with Agio Kuzmon Blue, compiled with the other Olympus 12. Very powerful card, very, very useful, and I enjoy having her around. And I think I've seen a lot of other Jupitermon lists where they run like Dianamon, Neptunemon, or other members of the Olympus 12. I don't think that's wrong. It's really just what works best for you. For me, it's this lineup that helps me the most, and I love it. I run 1 level 7, 1 Shangreimon Ruin mode. I think he is an awesome addition to the deck. Let's say you don't have a Minervamon or Venusmon in hand, and you need to be able to have some sort of protection, and you couldn't quite clear your opponent's board. Maybe they have one guy hanging on at 3k DP after all the DP minusing you've done, or you just want to be able to seal the game. Blanket minus 5,000 DP on the board. Amazing card. Definitely recommend him. Then I want to go over the Tamers. I personally run 2 of the Homeros. I might run a 3rd one if I could afford a 3rd one. She's an expensive card, but honestly, 2's a good rate. I almost always see her in my games. She resets your Olympus 12 so they can use the on-play when Digivolving, which is amazing. Just a fantastic card overall. It gives an additional DP buff to your Digimon, etc. Then I run 3 of the Inori Misono to go with the Agiomon, Agio Kuzmon. Inori is all turns when the security stack is removed from Digivolve to an Agio Kuzmon for free from an Agiomon, which means you can set traps on the board. Let's say, for example, you have an Agiomon and an Inori. Your opponent does something to remove from your security stack. Boom. Blue, de-Digivolve. Or Agio Kuzmon green, stun it. Or even the original Agio Kuzmon, DP minus it and delete it. You can set traps with her and Agiomon. So, fantastic. Honestly, 3 to 4 of her is perfect. That's just kind of on your preference there. I went with 3 because I wanted more room for other cards in the deck. And I run 4 of this next tamer, which is my Asuna Shiroki. Now, I prefer her over Hiroko for a few reasons. Number 1, Shangreimon Ruin mode. He can't be searched via Hiroko or any of the other cards in the deck. I was bottom decking him too much, so I went with Asuna instead, who does a straight draw. And also, I have Blending Ray, which I'll show you later. So she is just a fantastic card to have. Easily gets played out via Agiomon, a good setup card at the beginning of the game, beginning of the turn, however you want to roll it. Just an amazing card to have when it's just a straight draw too. Then, putting these guys away. My option cards, the end of the deck here. I run 1 Blinding Ray. Blending Ray trashes your top security card to gain 2 memory, triggering Sunomon, triggering Inori, just triggering your effects. He can trigger Jupitermon. It's an awesome card to have in Jupitermon. If I could have more of it, if it wasn't limited, I would. But on top of that, I also run 2 of the in-between theaters. I've been messing around with other memory boosts or what other cards I can include besides in-between theater, but I've opted to stay with the in-between theater just because I like being able to search any TS card instead of a Digimon like the other memory boosts do, and I like having a memory boost just in case. So, great card to have. You don't need to run a lot of it. I only have 3 options in the deck, as you can see, but otherwise I think a fantastic card. Just to show you guys some kind of combos you can do with the deck here. So let's say you start your turn, you have a Jupitermon in back and a Nori out here in the field. You'll promote, gain your memory. Let's say you start at 3, just for example, and then you Digivolve for free into Jupitermon. Add top security card to hand, say you're starting at 5, trigger a Nori, and you can go into an Jupitermon. And then let's just use BT24 as an example here. BT24 will go into there. Because your security is Trostrum, you can still trigger down here with Sunomon, or you could wait. You can swing twice with him right here, or if you want to trigger Sunomon right away, you can for a cost reduction of 1. But I would recommend, maybe swing, getting the 2 checks in, potentially hitting barrier, in case he checks someone bigger than him, so you could get your security down to 3. Then trigger Sunomon, so for 2, the only memory you've used this turn so far, go into Jupitermon. Jupitermon will trash another security from your end, but also trash an opponent's security as well, so you'll have done 3 security checks to them. And then at that point, with Jupitermon, you could have played out Homeros or Asuna there to throw him down on the field to get set up for the next turn. But you have 1 memory left, or so around there. You can just go Hardened Ruin mode, blanket on the field right there for minus 5,000 DP. That way you can help take out some opponents' Digimon. Another few ideas you can do here is, I posted a video about this earlier, just a quick short, but I'm going to kind of correct myself how I did it. So let's say you go into an Elecmon here in the back during your first turn, right? And you get a Nori on the field. This ideally works if you go second, and then you get another Elecmon out here, right? And then start of your turn, you'll bump up here, you'll have a Nori and him, so you'll add top security card to hand to gain a memory, and then with that, you can just pay the 2, or even just 1, if you wanted to utilize Sunomon to go into Jupitermon. Jupitermon will play out another Tamer, so let's just say, for example, here, and then you'll trigger a Nori. Keep in mind at this point, you'll have already lost 2 security cards from Elecmon and Jupitermon. So then you're going to go into an Jupitermon for free, and we're just still going to go ahead and do the BT24 variant, and I'll explain in a minute. Swing with him for 2 checks. Hopefully you'll hit barrier. If you don't hit barrier, having Blinding Ray in the hand would be a good another way to trigger this, to remove a security card, to trigger Sunomon's effect, to go into it for reduced cost. So at this point, you should be at 2 security, having either hit barrier or use Blinding Ray. And then you'll go into Junomon. Junomon will have been suspended. You'll have checked 2 of your opponent's security already. You'll add Elecmon to your security using Junomon's effect. You'll trash him, trash another of your opponent's security using her effect, and then you can play out an 8-cost or lower Iliad trait. So you play Jupitermon blue. He will unsuspend Junomon. You'll swing once more of Junomon. That is 4 checks now, or 4 security gone from your opponent. 2 from BT24 Jupitermon, 1 from Junomon's ability, and then 1 from a check with her using Jupitermon blue. And then, hopefully, you have very little or no security left at this point. Go into Jupitermon. If you have 1 security left, it trashes your security. Jupitermon blue's ability, his inherit, unsuspend your Digimon. After Jupitermon will have trashed another security, meaning you've gone through all 5 security, and then swing Junomon for game. So there are OTK methods. This method would allow or need at least 5 to 6 memory. So your opponent would ideally set you to 3. You choose a Nori and a Lekmon to gain those extra 2. There's a couple ways to go about it. A couple combos you can use just climbing up there. It's just fantastic ways to look at the deck. Just the ability it has, high skill ceiling it has. And the reason I go for the Olympus 12 that I do over, say, like Neptunemon or the others that some people use, and you'll see a common theme here in a minute. Let's see the altar. It's pretty. They're all yellow. I know I'm playing a yellow deck, so it's kind of obvious, but Ruin Mode can go over the top of any of them. Once they've served their purpose with their ability, and if I don't need them for home rows, Ruin Mode. Ruin Mode, Ruin Mode, Ruin Mode. So that's why I use the specific Olympus 12 I do. I go for the Digivolution to Ruin Mode being a capability. I've considered Dianamon because she does have the purple that Ruin Mode has, but ultimately this is the set I go for. So yeah, that's my deck list. I'll post a picture of it here at the end of the video just so you guys can see the full picture. But like I said, I've maintained a pretty consistent win record, right around 69 to 70%. Of course, this is counting webcam games, locals, and DCGO games. So take that as you will. That's just been my experience. But it's a fun deck, especially if you like yellow. I love messing with security. I love messing with my opponents, using my abilities. It is amazing. But yeah, let me know what you think here, and I'm gonna want to keep making Digimon content. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you.